Hello, everybody, and welcome to Miskatonic University Radio. I'm Dane,
Ben.
I'm Harrison.
and tonight we're excited to share with you our third spoiler from the Scarlet Keys. So, I guess at this point, if you saw our posts, you know the name of the card, but before we spoil anything further, we kind of want to get a little bit into the Arkham history and give a shout out to Arkham Horror Memes, aka Harrison.
Hey there.
Harrison's here with us. And he's sort of helping to promote the spoiler, and we appreciate it through Arkham Horror Memes. If you haven't checked out his Instagram page, you should go check it out. It's full of great references and good gaffs, and will make you giggle in the best way. So
I can't wait for more player cards and a whole campaign to riff on. But yeah, Arkham Horror Memes on Instagram.
Yeah, Harrison, grab that link, and then we can move on. So. Harrison will grab that link, and let's move on to talking about a little bit about the history of weaknesses, specifically enemy weaknesses. So, how do you guys feel about generally enemy weaknesses when they come up? Whether you're playing a guardian or whether you're playing a seeker role,
I feel like sometimes they're incredibly annoying depending which one it is, and some of them are just you kind of ignore them. And I don't know if there's really any that are in the middle. So
yeah,
you have up here Stubborn Detective because it affects everybody, and we tend to stay grouped up. It's usually brutal for our groups when that guy comes out. It's we gotta kill that guy right now. You know, the Acolyte is scary in theory, but usually we can evade him or kill him, and then he doesn't do anything. You know, so it's kind of a wide swing.
I think it's kind of funny. Usually, we usually play with friends that like the narrative, twist on just a stubborn detective following you through time and space, or
that is very funny. I appreciate the regular humans that are so insistent on having to assassinate you or hunt you down that they go deep underground with you or all the way to the Arctic or whatever. So that is pretty
yeah great. I think specifically Silver Twilight Acolyte, Stubborn Detective, and Your Worst Nightmare are just the worst to draw, even if you're a guardian, because you could be planning on dealing with two enemies, and then you draw on your upkeep Your Worst Nightmare, and you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm Mark, and I have 5 sanity, so it's a bit scary. But for the most part, yeah, it's either they're really, really bad or kind of whatever. A Cursed Follower basically does nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But we wanted to call out a specific enemy before we sort of get to the reveal, which is Your Worst Nightmare. This enemy came in Dream Eaters, and its weakness cycle was sort of really well received, at least by us. And I know that a lot of other people enjoy them too that we've played with, because it does something, and they do something that no other weaknesses at the time did, which was that they force other investigators to interact with you, right? There's no way that you can deal with this. You can evade it and run away from it, but ultimately somebody else needs to kill it. So if you draw this as Mark and you're playing with a Daisy or something, Daisy has to hit it with a plan or something, which is or hit it with a Malteroni, aka a Strange Solution, or whatever. So it poses an interesting risk for folks, and I think the most interesting thing is that it's out to wreck specific investigators. Same thing with sort of self-centered kleptomania and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
I like the weaknesses that make you have to when you draw it. It's not just definitely going to cripple you, but it more makes you have to strategize a little bit around it, because you're maybe as you're getting lower in your deck, it's oh, I might draw this and that could really wreck our day. Or maybe as you upgrade your deck, you're maybe I'll throw 1 or 2 cards in to help me mitigate my weakness, so it's not as scary. And this one, and the worst nightmare kind of makes other people do that a little bit more, because you can evade it, but if you're paired with a seeker or someone who's not combat focused, then maybe you have to really convince them to get Strange Solution or Backstab or whatever in their deck. So
I think it's interesting because a lot of the weaknesses just kind of cost you actions to deal with or resources or whatever. And here, if you are not equipped to handle damage, are dealing damage, then you might have to. Your worst nightmare is obviously a little different, but I mean, you might be the fighter and pull your worst nightmare, then everybody has to figure out how to deal with it for you. So it's like interesting, like you were saying, that like something that makes you have to build a little differently than you normally would have.
Yeah, totally. And comment in chat, we're gonna get to Spoopy Purple Goop in a second. But before we do, we wanted to talk a little bit about like the spoilers for this set. So folks lifted an image of the back of the Scarlet Keys box pretty fast after the article officially came out.
Yeah, I think this was on one of the product pages or something. I don't know about lift.
Yeah.
When you say lifted, you mean someone like right-clicked save as, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They jumped out of the window of a warehouse and stole it from somewhere. No. And so folks immediately started dissecting what this means, and the first time that I saw this weakness, I was kind of looking in the chat, and I saw Axolotl, who we've had on the cast before, called out that his idea was that it was an investigator class specific enemy, which is unique. We haven't seen those things before. And, well, Ben, do you want to spoil the card?
That is what it is. So yeah, you might through the context clues so far, you guys might have deduced that this is a basic weakness that we're spoiling. This is it's an enemy basic weakness called Ectoplasmic Horror. It is a monster and a Geist. It's a 2/2/2 enemy, and its limitation on it is Mystic Investigator only, which not actually having the rules in front of us, we assume means only Mystics class investigators can get it in their deck. And it's a hunter, and its ability is the first time you reveal a chaos token while attacking or attempting to evade an ectoplasmic horror, reveal an additional token for each empty arcane slot you have.
Yeah.
And it only does one horror when it attacks. So this is interesting that like at least I think our playstyle, we lean a little bit more into like having arcane assets. At least I do. But that's certainly not all the Mystic Investigators run that way. So some of them might have to consider taking arcane slots instead of like maybe events or something in order to deal with this, or do some classic, Mystic token draw manipulation.
Are there any weird situations where you're a Mystic and have more empty arcane slots than just anybody else?
Dragon
Like
Pole.
you have three.
Yeah,
if you're Lily and you take Dragon Pole and you haven't filled any of your slots, this thing is going to make you draw a lot of tokens, right? And I saw PAX was like kind of confused by it, as it was like, well, like it's taxing you for your empty arcane slots. Yes. So in stark contrast to your worst nightmare, this is sort of specifically Mystics are sort of equipped to deal with it best, right? I mean, there are a lot more spells out now, or things that take up spell slots. Like you've got rogues who can take double and blur, yeah, all those kinds of things. And then guardians can take the Brand of Cthulhu, which is another card we spoiled a while ago, and a bunch of other cards. So like there are definitely ways to make this easy to kill, right? Like beat cops even. If you're not pulling tokens, then kind of easy to deal with, right? And it's not an annoying enemy other than like having to get it off of you, and it's perfect because it is, for all intents and purposes, Slimer. It's just really annoying and barfs all over you.
I like that it doesn't deal any damage. It just follows you around and puts a goop on you.
It throws up goop on you, which is very, very horrifying. I would not be happy if that was happening to me. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like the one that we've kind of seen a little bit above this Lurker in the Dark one, I'm guessing it mentions tactics, so I'm guessing maybe that's the Guardian one. And this one deals with arcane slots, so I'm assuming the gist of these, it's like maybe a little bit easier for you to deal with it yourself. If you lean into like one of your classes, tropes isn't the right word, but mechanics, one of your lessons mechanics. Versus like sometimes like a lot of these enemies, at least in multiplayer, if I have an enemy as like Daisy or someone or Finn or someone, not Finn, but someone who's not combat focused, then I might be like, well, if I draw my enemy, I'll just I'll let Mark shoot it, or
Yeah.
or York hit it with a shovel or whatever. So I think this is an interesting take on enemy weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you could just ping it in from different places. So, I mean, if you did have B Cop, or even if you were Agnes, I guess you can just kind of just like let it bleed you out like for a little bit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is also. It is like a low difficulty enemy. I'm surprised it's like 2/2/2. Maybe they were worried it would be like a little bit too strong if it was higher. I guess in like hard or expert, then you'll be very scared of maybe drawing extra tokens. But in easier standard, you might not be too worried if you have to draw a second token.
Yeah, and I think Carmine kind of mentioned that it's interesting because Amina's Kit Spoiled is so far like not a lot of spells.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so maybe they were just kind of judging it based off of that context, or it shouldn't be terribly tragic for somebody who doesn't have any slot spelled. Like if it's I don't know, somebody who's event focused, but I can't think of anybody but Safina. But yeah, I'm eager to see also what the other classes are offering, right? Like what a rogue specific weakness looks like. That's for me, and a survivor weakness. Like I don't know what those would look like, and I'm excited.
It might not necessarily be enemies, but Volclass brings up that Norman can't take this if we're going by the color of their card. But like,
it's true.
I wonder how all of the investigators, all of those, was it?
Oh no, Lily can take it, right? Lily's actually purple.
Yes, and like Dragon Pull is her thing, so like, and there's not a lot of like cheap, really good spells to put in those slots yet. So it might take her a little while to fill them up, but it might be really annoying to deal with this guy.
Yeah. Charlie and Lola aren't somehow counted as a different class when they do stuff. When they pick good things, right? They're not. No, they're neutral.
They'll be immune.
They're immune to these. I think a couple people were guessing in I think on Mythbusters Discord if there would be a neutral investigator weakness to like have a set of 6 that's just for Charlie and Lola.
They're already 6. They're already 6/6. I think their weakness is like.
I don't know.
So easy to shatter.
I'm excited to try out Charlie and do some nonsense. I know Colin's a big fan of like well prepared, and Charlie basically has that built into him. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any other thoughts on Ectoplasmic Horror?
No, I think in terms of it being something that is like if I'm drawing it as my weakness, it's all right. It's not gonna generate doom. It's not gonna pull the Elder Sign out of the bag. It's not gonna do like weird horrible things like so it's probably fine, right? Like Guardian with a beat cop again can kill it over the course of 2 turns. If you're Agnes, you can just let it hit you, take an AOO on your turn, and then it hits you on enemy phase and it's dead, right? So there are definitely ways to deal with it, and if you have your arcane slots filled, you're kind of all set. Like Dexter will probably be doing that pretty easily. So yeah,
I'm hoping that these weaknesses kind of give you, like light a fire under like investigators' butts to like kind of get hit the ground running for these kind of things. For like from what we've seen so far, the other weakness says you want like tactics or something, or and this one says you want to fill up your arcane slots. So it's kind of cool because it kind of wants you to be prepared for it when you draw it.
Yeah, I think my biggest request with the rest of this line of weaknesses is that the Seeker one is like this, but all of its stats are 8, and it has like does 3 points of health and 3 points of sanity damage, and it's just horrible for the Seekers to deal with because they can take it. Like let them have something horrible.
Maybe if you buy the pack, you're just required to take that as an extra weakness as a Seeker.
Oh, I would like that. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to return to Dreamland so bad, because I wanted myriad weaknesses. But anyway,
I mean, maybe we'll still see it in 4 years or whatever. Who knows? Yeah. All right.
Well, everybody, what do y'all think about this weakness? What do Mystics feel about this weakness? Are you going to be happy pulling this as your random basic weakness? Let us know. Reach out to us on comments at mur.fm or join us on our Discord server to hang out. To stay current on what we're doing, follow us on social networks, including Instagram and Twitch. You can find the links to all these at social.mur.fm. If you really enjoy what we're doing, we always appreciate a nice review on your favorite podcast source. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us here today, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.